First, I would like to start off by saying what fun it was of being at the cereal challenge last Tuesday. It was a spectacular event. I would like to thank Mrs. Tupai, the leadership team at Turlock Memorial High School, and all the volunteers and donors who made this event happen. And a special shout out to Jeff Bolte for filming the setup and running the whole length of the domino effect of the cereal boxes, even those falling down the stairs. It was an amazing achievement. This is what can happen when we all work together for a common cause. I believe the total count was over 1,600 boxes of cereal. I want to remind everyone that the Board of Finance workshops have started. They are being held every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall and the Cine Room, or you can attend on Zoom. Our voices need to be heard. They have only one citizen comment item on the agenda, and that is at the beginning of the meeting. So please be there, either in person or on Zoom, and speak out. Let your voices be heard. They need to be heard. Working together, as we have shown through the cereal challenge, we can help keep this budget for the school and the town, which we so desperately need. Thank you. Now we'll get going on the student spotlight. And oh, I'm sorry. I skipped citizens comments, but anyway, sorry about that. Citizens comments. Open the floor for citizens comments. Hearing none, I'll go on to the student spotlight and the Turlock Memorial High School liaison report.
In the Turlock Memorial Student Spotlight for the month of February was Jacob Perry. He cannot be here tonight, but I'll congratulate him. Each month, Turlock Memorial High School Student Spotlight program recognizes students who have demonstrated outstanding achievement, character, leadership, attitude, and our contributions to the school community. February Student Spotlight honoree is Jacob Perry. Jacob was nominated by Joel Majorowski, Connor Peterson, Melina Marcelo Muniz, and Miss Anderson. Jacob's friend Joel says Jacob is a very hard worker who teaches other kids and is a huge part of the music community. Jacob has always been an honest student and is always working hard to keep up his grades. He helps with everything that pops up, and he does it to his full ability. Jacob was one of the hardest workers I've ever met. Connor states, in Jacob's nomination, Jacob is always one of the best people to be around in school. He always makes sure people laugh and have a good time, and due to being a natural hard worker, keeps his friends up to date and on track. He always helps out where he's needed and makes sure everything is done correctly because he works hard and with passion for his friends, family, and himself. I'm glad to have been a friend and brother since we were 5, as well as having the privilege to make music for Jacob on stage. Additionally, Melina says, Jacob Perry does everything he can to be involved. He works hard, and when it comes to learning and teaching others whenever he gets the chance, Jacob is a great musician. And I know that one day, when we get to big places, he is only dreamed of. Jacob does everything in his might to keep his peers happy and laughing. I'm personally glad to have met him and experienced the happiness he brings. He is an important friend to keep close because you never know what journey you might take. Ms. Anderson says, Jacob Perry's quiet confidence, strong work ethic, and honorable integrity makes him a top-notch student spotlight. Jacob exudes passion for his musical craft as well as work and other interests. When faced with conflict or problem, Jacob dives headfirst into finding the best solutions, never backing down from a challenge. The smile that Jacob shares with his peers daily fills the room. He is in positive energy. Respectful, funny, talented, hardworking are just a few words that come to mind when the peers are asked to describe who Jacob is. And I totally agree. Jacob's future will be whatever he makes of it, and he will shine like the star he already is. Jacob consistently achieves high honors in school while being highly involved in TMHS music and athletics. Jacob cites one of his accomplishments this year as winning Judge Choices Award at Turlock's Got Talent with his friend Connor Peterson. When asked what motivates him, Jacob says, my parents, friends, different influencers online, and my common interests. And the thoughts of keep going and pushing myself even if it's hard, because I always tell myself in the end of the workout. About his future, Jacob states, there are different paths I would like to go in the future. To start off, I'm going to college to graduate with my bachelor's degree, and after that, I would like to become a high school gym teacher for a bit while I'm working on trying to either start a business or apply for jobs that include music, social work, and web design. These are three very different careers, but I will try to make it work, and I would just like to live my life to the fullest. Finally, Jacob's message to the school community is hang out with the people who you know who can have fun, who you can have fun with. Be goofy with and still have them for support when someone you can talk to about anything will help you because everyone needs those in people's lives. Another message would be to stop thinking, just live, laugh, and love life because life is shorter than you think. And people need to start thinking about the now, in the moment, and stop stressing about how the other things because in the end, it will all work out. Stay wholesome.
Right, congratulations, Jacob. Just some updates for the month of March. The first was the Turtle Up Memorial High School Pops concert. The 6th, the student council held a meeting. The 7th was a busy day with the cereal box challenge. Hidden Figures was played in the Turtle Out Library for Black History Month, and the parent player spring sports meeting took place. The 8th was a Pride Day at Turtle Out, and the 9th, there was an informational session on vaping in the high school library. On the 10th, this past Friday, Midnight Madness returned for the first time since 2020, which was a big hit. On the 15th, the sophomore class will take PSATs. The 17th is a professional development day, and Turtle Out's own Jordan Butler and Eric LeBake will be presenting at the CAS retreat in Norwich about the work of the ECC Diversity Council. The 22nd is SAT Day for all juniors, and the 24th, 25th, and the 26th, Mary Poppins Jr. will be showing in the Thompson Auditorium. We received 2 student voice forms this month. There was a student voice form written by a student that was concerned about the portion sizes of school lunches. The student was concerned that students were not getting enough food to eat. Student council members noted that the lunch staff must follow dietary restrictions set by the state and federal governments. Members also pointed out that students are welcome to take additional items of fruits and vegetables if they wish. And the second student voice forum was that one member of the student council also expressed the hope that cafeteria seating would once again be arranged to allow for students to sit together in small groups while maintaining security in the lunchroom. Any questions about the board report this month?
No, maybe we could have the second question addressed by Dr. Mayo at the next meeting, because I don't understand the cafeteria seating. Okay,
Yeah, it was to my knowledge, it was changed because there was a few incidents in the lunchroom involving students and
so I'd like to hear from Dr. Mayo.
all right.
Thank you.
And since it is March is Board of Education Appreciation Month.
Yes, it is.
So during the Pride Day, we had each of the homerooms write a few thank you cards to the members of the Board of Education.
Oh,
So Carol will be passing out a few to each member, and while she's doing that, I just like to take the opportunity to read some aloud. This one says, "Dear members of the Thompson Board of Education, thank you for supporting Turtle Memorial High School. With your efforts, our school families continue to offer fun and interesting classes like robotics, technology, and various math classes. Classes like these help prepare us for our future. We appreciate your time and energy that goes into each and every board meeting. We realize your commitment takes time away from your families and friends, but please know we are grateful for your service. Because you advocate for the students of Thompson, we are all able to get the education we need to be successful in our everyday lives. Please continue to help our school keep running." Next one, Sean.
This one is from Mr. Chan's 11th grade homeroom. Thank you, Thompson Board of Education. We appreciate how you volunteer your time out of the kindness of your hearts. We recognize how you have fought for our school district and our students this year. You've supported our needs for a new track and upgraded the HVAC system and a budget that allows for continued opportunities with academics and extracurricular activities. With sincere thanks and great appreciation, Ms. Chan's 11th grade homeroom.
This one says, "Dear Thompson Board of Education members, thank you for everything you do for our schools. We are truly inspired by your service to our community. We appreciate the countless hours you dedicate to the students. We understand you have your own lives and responsibilities, yet you take the time to advocate for our education. The fact that you do this without pay motivates us to be better members of our community. So again, we thank you for your amazing contributions to the students of Thompson Public Schools.
On behalf of all the students at Turtle Memorial High School, we would like to thank the Board of Education. You spend all your time planning and presenting how to help our school. We want to thank you for being passionate about our school, town, and all of our students. Without you, we wouldn't have anything that we do now. It's in all we want to thank the Board of Education for fighting for our education and caring so deeply.
And last but not least, dear members of the Thompson Board of Education, we appreciate your passion for our school and students. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives to advocate for the students and make our school a better place. We really love and appreciate your hard work and dedication. We know this job is not always easy, but you always persevere and get the job done. All Board of Education members are caring, dedicated, and loving. We greatly appreciate everything you do. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
many thanks from the Turtle Rock community, both students and teachers.
Thank you so very much.
We actually have middle and elementary students as well that might want to say something.
Okay, come forward and want to have something to say.
This is little Miss Grace Roy, wonderful fourth grade students, and this is a Doris class.
Grace, come over here.
Just an outstanding student. So she thought of this on her own, and just a testament to her parents, Mr. Roy and Miss Karen is just a wonderful student. You're not going to meet a nicer, kinder student than Grace. Just a lovely.
Thank you, Thompson Schools and the Board of Education. Here are some reasons why I'm thankful for your service. I set goals for myself. I wanted to get my grades up in reading, and I did. And last year, high school students came to my classroom and read us books. So they set goals of high school too. But seeing high school students makes me feel appreciated because they want to read to us books, and they are really friendly. I also like being a part of this community. We had a cereal challenge and the cereal was donated to tea. All the students worked together. I think T was really happy that all three schools donated and worked together. I also like that you can get special help if you need it. So these are some things I like about Thompson Schools and the Board of Education.
Very nice.
Ms. Granado, do you have?
Yes, I have, we have a couple students with us today. We're gonna explain you guys. We have Jordan Burns and Ella Souza. We're gonna tell you a little bit about their law program. We're gonna take it away. Ms. Popovich and Ms. Mela developed this group in 2019. It is a student-led group that looks to build community tolerance and looks at what issues are in our school from a student perspective. The goal is for students to develop skills to see if they can identify an issue within our school community, identity realization. Can they do something to help the issue, identify what action would need to be taken to reach out to our school community, identify how to prepare to make that happen, like get administrative approval, work with their subcommittee groups who have the same concerns, and finally following through on whatever projects they decide on. We want to take this time to thank the Board of Ed members for their support of our group. So far this year, we have researched and compiled videos to be used as part of the middle school's morning advisory / social emotional learning cycle. In our subcommittees, we identify issues we as students thought were happening in our school and shoot videos to share with grades 6 to 8.
We were also part of the district-wide cereal challenge, which ended on March 7th. We helped build a domino display of all boxes throughout our district, running throughout the donated season. Our group made posters for the event, collected boxes weekly from each grade level to promote friendly competition between every grade level. Our last half of the year, our group will be working on presenting to our current fourth graders coming up from the middle school next year to help with this smooth transition. In our subcommittees, we will be responsible for presenting on an aspect that we feel is important to share with the students that may be nervous about starting at our school. We'll be visiting fourth grade classrooms in May for this exciting question and answer session so they feel more comfortable about the transition. Thank you, and this is more and what we are doing to make a better school environment and help students develop crucial life skills. And here's a little token for our appreciation for your support.
Hold that open a minute, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's very nice. It's wonderful. I thank you, students, and I'd like to thank my board here as chair for your participation, your enthusiasm, and we have made a difference. For 2 years in a row, we've gotten the budget passed on the first shot, and we're gonna do it again this year. But we need everybody's cooperation. Every citizen in Thompson, we need to get the word out, and we're gonna do that. So. Charge ahead. Thank you. Thank you, students. All right. The next item on our agenda. I would like, if we can, let's move the Girl Scout presentation up. Is that agreeable with everyone? Sure. Yeah, and they can go home and get their homework done.
Ladies, don't be shy. What? Right where you are. It's not the number. Some of this way so you actually have. We'll get a little physical in our church. All right, go ahead, Miss Brenda, you can lead them off.
We are Girl Scouts Troop 61193. We are cadets, sixth graders. We are Girl Scouts from Killingly and Thompson. We are here to speak on period.
Poverty.
Wow.
Poverty.
Poverty.
Good job.
Good job. Where do I go?
You can stay right there. Be a support to your other Girl Scout sisters.
Period poverty is the lack of access to menstrual products, education, hygiene facilities, waste management, or a combination of this. The estimate is that 500 million worldwide are affected. The other estimate is 16.9 million US are affected. 1 in 8 menstruators in Connecticut live below period poverty line. And 1 in 4 teens have had to miss class due to period poverty. People can be embarrassed or ashamed. People will miss schoolwork. This causes students to miss valuable class and they fall behind class, missing work and jeopardizing quick. It's still seen as 30% to hide. 26 states still charge tax on period products, and Connecticut is not. Only 16. Only 16 states, Washington DC require schools to provide free access to period products and We see many of their classmates struggling with the need to access supplies in a way to not bring further attention to it or themselves. We put aside approximately $525 in cookie sale profits to complete 50 emergency bags for distribution. $40 will be provided to Thompson, 10 will be provided to Killingham. We are working on another 12 for TEED. T. In these non-transparent makeup bags are pads, tampons, hygiene wipes, deodorant, soap, lotion, shampoo, conditioner, and a toothbrush and toothpaste. We'd love to host a Go With The Flow product drive to run May 25th to May 31st during period poverty awareness. Bins to collect at TMS office and TMHS office. We'd reach out to the town hall, library, bank, hometown to see if they collect us well.
That's nice.
Thank you.
You could love to take which one. Check the number Sharon's doing. Whichever office you wanna walk you to see if they're now yours. Thank you very much. Great. Nice job, lady.
Thank you, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, it'll be much appreciated. It's a wonderful thing to do. Okay, now we'll go back onto the agenda, and it's the approval of minutes from the following meetings. I think we all agree we will do them all as a group. These are special meetings for our budget with the February 13th regular meeting. February 7th, 9th, 16th, and 23rd were our special budget meetings. And the 13th was a regular meeting. I have a motion to approve these minutes.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Okay. So Jess made the motion, Linda seconded it. Any discussion on this motion?
Good for Linda, it's good for me.
Well, there are a couple of typos. Linda, you.
Please enlighten us, Linda.
Oh, one of them I didn't correct, so,
You didn't?
no,
Now,
I didn't
meeting,
get the email.
citizens' comments on February 13th. It states that my comment, I think, is missing some words.
Okay, well, February 7th has a problem on this. That's the comments too. Then we get to the 13th, let's take them in order. It says, the second citizen's comment. It says on the second sentence, on the second line, is worried as the plea to get. That's not correct. It should be worried as the plea. No E. Okay, and Jess, on the 13th, we found one.
It's so much that I don't think my comment was actually taken down correctly.
Okay, which one? The citizens comment?
Citizens comment, one,
The
two,
first
three.
citizens comment?
Yeah, the first session of citizens'
Mhm.
comments. I'm pretty sure I did not say that the high school graduation date was set by the Board of Education and should be followed as that. I was pretty sure I was. That was not my comment.
We'll go back and listen to the tape and
Yeah.
correct that.
No, on the 13th, I mean, okay. What do you think you said?
I'm pretty sure I said that I would like to see it heard back to the fifth
Okay,
or whatever that first Friday was.
I
that we were
believe you
ending.
did say that. Okay, so let's change that, say, see it moved back to you want it to stay on the fifth, the sixth or the fifth.
Whatever the last official date was based on our original
Yeah,
calendar.
the original one that we had in there. Okay,
I'll make that correct.
all right. And then, on, for 223, the second citizen's comment, the last sentence. Keep the T, no,
Yeah.
keep the information. Anybody find anything else?
You had mentioned another one.
No, I didn't. Those are the only two I found.
And the first.
So we have two typos and one contact.
Yeah, on the February 7th one, the second citizens comment.
Yeah, I mentioned.
Oh, you did that one?
Yeah, you did that.
Oh, but you said, please, it's. Please. But it's gotta be he. You said the please,
But
but it's
he is
also,
worried as the please, PLEAS. Not please, please,
but it's he, not THE, it should be HE.
as he pleased to.
Yes, you're right.
No, as the please, the people are pleased.
You think it should be the please?
Yeah, the please, not he is pleased,
Whatever it is.
the pleas of the people, the prayers of the people, you know, yeah, please, I'm trying to think of a synonym for it.
He felt desire, yeah.
Yeah, the desires, the wishes of the people that the school are
Okay,
being
all right.
ignored. Okay, so. We amend the motion to say that the minutes be accepted as amended.
Yes.
And I'll second that.
And you'll second, okay, so. If there's no further. Discussion on the motion as amended. I'll put it to the floor for a vote, all in favor of the motion. To accept the minutes, as amended. Say aye.
Aye.
Oh, you are with us, yeah. All opposed, say no. The abstention. The motion passes. Unanimously. Subcommittee updates. I don't believe we've had any subcommittee meetings. But we are having a communications subcommittee on the 27th at 6. Are we going to be having a policy subcommittee soon?
We should be doing one soon. It's really, we were all obviously focused on budget, so.
Right, okay. All right. Maybe I will turn it over to the enrollment report to the superintendent.
Okay, our enrollment increased this month. As you recall, last month we went down. This month we've gone up at Mary R. Fisher's Elementary School. We have 387 students. We have increased 2 students. At Thompson Middle School, we have 286 students, and we have increased 3 students there. And at the high school, we remain the same. And our total enrollment is 892 students. We currently have 25 special education students out of district. Dr. Jones, he couldn't be with us tonight because he's ill. However, he's hoping to bring some good news to the board next month. After a series of meetings that he's had. Hopefully, we're gonna see that number go down a little bit more. And then, of course, we have our students at the magnet schools in BOAG, and our homeschool students right now that we know of are 72. Okay. Keep going. Continue. Yep. The bullying report, I sent you all the bullying report, that we have extracted from our student information system. Know that those, the numbers that are recorded in our SIS are, bullying reports that have been thoroughly investigated. And as a result of an investigation, it was determined that the incident or whatever, transpired, did result in an actual, I guess, allegation of bullying. When that does happen, there is a safety plan put in place for whoever the victim is of bullying. And then also the bully themselves, there is a plan put in for that particular student. So right now, we have recorded in Tyler SIS system 3 bullying reports, all at the middle school. There haven't been any formal bullying investigations completed that resulted in bullying right now at the elementary and the high school to date.
I have a question, not about bullying. Is that completed? The bullying
Yeah.
report? Okay. I have a question regarding the Girl Scout presentation, which they all kind of disappeared quickly. It's fine, that's fine. They did a great job. Since this is the place in the agenda, one of the girls mentioned that Connecticut is or is not one of the states that has.
Connecticut no longer taxes feminine hygiene
Thank you.
products, and we're also one of only 16 states in Washington DC that require schools to provide said products for free.
Thank you for that
Oh,
clarification.
that's good. It's good.
So something to work towards other states, but that's a relatively new change, I think, on both of those. So
And Shannon and Bill Birch actually have been working on that to get those dispensers put in the bathrooms, and with your donation, that's certainly going to help the cause.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. First, make sure.
the girls are gonna wanna know if they're okay to move forward with the drive.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, here we go with the, we had the 23-24 calendar.
Right.
Was that? No, what's that?
3 options.
We have 3 options presented for them.
And that the board at the last time we discussed the calendar wanted me to put together 3 scenarios. So we did that with different end dates leading up to the 14th of graduation date. So yeah, I recommend the first option. However, that's just my opinion. And the rest is up to the board.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Have we ever not had a snow day as long as you've been superintendent?
No.
Okay, so every year we have at least one, always usually more than that.
My first year, there were 12.
Yeah.
So, and that's why we moved the start date up to that earlier 20s in August, because we went really late that year.
Right.
And we've kind of stuck with that. But it really doesn't matter. We do have some flexibility in the calendar.
Right, and even this year, we've had a couple,
Yes, we have. We've had
Yeah.
2.
with no snow, but
Maybe tomorrow. For the next day.
I'm not sure yet.
I thought
Apparently
we had
with stock
3
discounts.
dates.
Yeah, they did.
Built into
They're
the
online.
calendar.
Well,
No, we never did. I went back to
Elementary,
So-
middle just canceled.
that predated even the previous superintendent. I went back 20 years and looked in the calendar. About 20 years ago, you did put in like placeholders for snow days. And I know in my former experience with doing that, that always confused the parents. So somewhere along the line, you must have stopped that. But for the past, I would say 15, 20 years, you've not put in those snow day placeholders.
So. So option one, we start on. The
Start on the
30th,
30th of August and then on the 14th.
right?
The last day of school is the 12th, which is a half day, knowing that there's going to be at least one snow day, you'll probably run right up to graduation.
I'm fine with option one.
I am too, yeah.
If we agree to these new options or any one of these options, is this gonna be locked in place now for years to come, so we don't have any issues with PTO and class trip and everything else?
Kathleen, for purpose of discussion, we should do it right.
Yeah, let's have a
I'll make a
motion.
motion
I
to
mean,
approve.
do you
to
want to
approve
run
this.
through the options first so that we can
All right.
deliberate on that?
I'll make it, well,
He's ready to make his motion.
I'll make a motion that we adopt option number one.
Okay.
And then if you want to discuss the other ones.
I'll second it. Okay. All right, we have to have a motion on the floor, Tom, before we start.
Yep.
But the Tom's thing.
Yeah.
It'll always be that Friday,
Mhm.
but the start date could vary year to year. But the graduation date should always be that second Friday.
Yes, okay. So we have that motion on the floor, yes, then we have open discussion, so yes. Okay. And we always will have at least one or two snow days, or wind days, or power outages days, or something. There's going to be a day or two or more that we don't have
Right,
school.
I'm not arguing that. It's the fact that if, when we set the calendar, then according to the state of Connecticut, those kids can still graduate on that date. So the argument that it affects project graduation is now null and void. That's
Correct.
that was my thing, and beside the fact that then based on this calendar, so long as, even if they only have one snow day, they're still waiting another 4 or 5 days to graduate, which to me just seemed that was just,
Okay,
that was my issue with it. I understand it's the way that we've been doing things for the last couple of years, but that's not a tradition. Traditions, we go generation to generation, we haven't made this a tradition yet, so that's just
We made it.
My thought
we
process.
made
Make
it
it.
a policy.
right.
and but that we did that because we're not fluctuating anymore.
Right, but now that that state law is in place, that once you set your calendar, then it doesn't matter.
Well, that state law has been in place for a long time.
We just.
Well, but not to the extent, remember you had,
If we set the date at the beginning of the year, then it was always fine. It's when we didn't set it that we had to go the entire 180 days. If we set it at the beginning and it ends up being 175 days, they can still graduate.
Right.
That's been around for a long time.
Okay,
It's when we don't set it until
later,
January,
causes.
then we have to do it,
okay,
as I understood it.
correct.
Yes, and they reinforced that a couple of years ago.
okay.
So if we want to keep the graduation date, the second Friday in June. That way, you know when project graduation is going to be, you know when the class trips can be, it's always that date. So you can start in the beginning of the year to set up all your plans. For everything you want to do after graduation dates or before graduation date, you know when that's going to be. That's set in stone. Everybody can work around it. So. Option two, what has us graduate, has the school starting on the 28th, the Monday. And the actual end date for school is the 10th. Same day as the Board of Ed, and that gives you 3 days between. Possible 3 snow days. And the other one was the original calendar that we didn't.
No, the other one was actually starting after Labor Day, I believe.
Mhm.
That's no,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
that's no good.
Yeah, I think that goes too late in June.
Yeah, well, we don't
Snow
want to
days
go
and
too
stuff,
late
you know,
in June.
in my
We
opinion.
don't want the kids going after graduation. No, because you gotta have to have middle school moving up too.
Right.
Okay. So. I think, well, I can't, I'm supposed to remain neutral on the chair, according to Robert's Rules of Order.
You can still vote if you want, but
Yeah.
but the motion is to accept option one.
One, okay. Oh, okay, so we're all in agreement that option one makes more sense.
Yeah.
Discussion, we're finished, Tom, have you weighed in on this?
No, my only thing, Kathleen, I can't see the thing in the motion. Sorry, the calendar in front of me. But does this take into consideration if somebody has multiple children in the school system between middle school and high school? There's no conflict?
We do that ordinarily. We would have
Okay.
middle school moving up ceremony on a different date.
But if there are delays in the school year, is there a conflict or you're still gonna work around that?
We're still gonna work around that.
Okay, all right, I'm good with it. Thank you.
Okay, no, we would never have graduation and moving up ceremony on the same day. No,
And moving up ceremony, you can still go to school after that.
Correct.
It's not, it's just a
That's
ceremony, it's
right.
not a graduation.
Correct.
Good point, Matt.
okay, so are we ready to vote on this? Okay, all in favor of accepting option one? As per the motion? Say aye.
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 Okay. All opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Then option one is accepted unanimously. Since Dr. Mayo is not here,
I actually have the
you have the
responses. for those.
response.
So, as Dr. Mayo explained, and I want the students to know that we're certainly taking your comments and your concerns about the 70-30 grading change. One of the things that we are going to bring forward to the student body, and my curriculum leader is going to help me with this, is that, and just so everybody understands, before we made the switch to 70-30, we were kind of grading on, and it wasn't consistent across the school, on a 60-40 type of thing, where 60 was cumulative, formative and summative assessments, presentations and projects. And then the 40% was show up in class and you do your homework. There was no indication whether or not the homework was right. It's just that you did those things. And so most high schools across the region are an 80-20 split, right? That the formative and summative assessments, the presentations and the projects are weighted heavily because we are moving, or we should be raising the rigor to standards-based instruction. And so we're raising the bar on the type of instruction that we are giving to our students and letting them be exposed. And part of the conversation that we need to have with the students at the high school is for them to understand what standard-based education is all about and why we have made a curriculum revision. And so the 70-30, what I've learned, is really not the issue. What the issue is if you go into the teacher's grade books, and Heather helped me with this, we started to dig around in some of the teachers' grade books. Not all of them are assessing the same point value for summative, formative projects and presentations. And so that can cause some angst because in one class, you might be getting a certain set of points for a certain test or project, and then you go to another class and it's a different weighting system. And so what we need to do with the faculty and staff is have and NEASC will be looking for this, having a more aligned type of grading process in place to assign those points and weights. And so the curriculum leaders have suggested that we really work with each department so that they can get better aligned, and then we can do that cross-department conversation. But grading overall takes a lot of study when you're making these changes. The staff agreed to go to the 70-30 and put less value on showing up in class and doing your homework. And it's all about reaching mastery of those standards, right? Learning those skills and competencies. And that's where the 70% is important. And so we have to do, but we did do a little digging because the curriculum leaders did bring to light, wow, if you go into grade books, you might notice some discrepancies. And we did. And so what we can't change it this year because that would throw off everybody's grading structure. But we need to have a better conversation with faculty and staff around what's the criteria for grading a presentation or a project or a collaborative project, which certainly has a different type of feeling to it if one person's carrying the load in a group and the others are kind of coasting on that. So there's a lot to be done and studied with the faculty around grading. But I wanted everyone to know we did do a good bit of research before Dr. Mayo switched the 70-30 up and did find out many of the high schools were at an 80-20 because you want students to master 80% of the content and competencies. But what we did find out, so thank you, students, what we did find out is going into those grade books, we saw discrepancies there. No one's fault. It's just that it needs to be better aligned. So they weren't wrong when they brought that forward because we did see that in the grading. So I wanted you to know that there's more work that has to be done. We are going to do some work around standards-based education just from the curriculum leaders to the students, and then really start to dive into that whole grading practices.
Yeah, I think that some of it you've already addressed. I know at the beginning of when we did this transition, I know my son in particular had some teachers that weren't following what the guidelines were. And then also some were not doing the same thing with the test retake option. That became a problem. There is still some issues, I think, in classrooms with teachers not having that many tests, quizzes, and projects. So what happens is there's a whole lot of homework, but that's only 30% of your grade.
Right.
And then there's 2 major tests or 2 major projects. And so if you did really poorly on one, retook it, still didn't do that great, and did fantastic on the other one, you're still staring down at less desirable grade than you would have wanted, you know? So I don't know if there can be minimum number of projects, tests, quizzes, you know what I mean? So at least it's not so much pressure on 1, 2, or 3 things.
And that's where that work by department has to happen.
Right.
Because we want to know what everybody's doing as far as presentations, projects, how are they scoring them? Calibration and scoring of grades, even if you give everybody a writing sample and you give a teacher a rubric and you ask them all to score it. I've done calibration and scoring sessions a good chunk of my career. You will see discrepancies even in the rubric. So the more conversations teachers can have around grading and around the very thing that you just brought up, the more aligned it's going to be and the less confusion it takes off of the students who are not understanding how come this can happen in one class and then it can't happen in the other. So.
2 questions. First one's easy. Are we in Q3 or Q4?
We are in the Q3, just finishing up. Q4 is coming on April, right?
Okay. Is there a way, I'm using the word arbitrary, not to point fingers, but let's say some of these gradings are arbitrary, without, looking at them. Is there a way to maybe go back and have students do makeup work to kind of recalibrate for some of this arbitrariness?
So they each had an opportunity every quarter to
Okay.
make something
thought so.
up. And recalibrating now, when we're at the end of the year, would goof everything up.
Right, but
And
if
we
you're a
certainly-
junior in high school and you've got a C in a class, and you really think that it's because of, you only had 2 tests in the whole quarter, it just really, that's affecting your.
That would be a conversation that I'd want to know.
Right.
Does the assessment is it accurately assessing mastery of that particular content for that particular class? And so what did that assessment cover and why? So that, I don't think it can be a correction that happens this year.
Right, I understand that too. Okay,
But it was well received when we started to dig into it. So I just wanted the students to know that we are taking a serious look at it. And then cursive writing. So the writing wars are almost like whole language versus phonics and reading. There is a school of thought on either side of the fence. What Mrs. Stefanski did was she did some research, and that's basically what we found out. We know that 21 states actually require cursive writing and 29 do not in the country. Connecticut being one of them, Rhode Island being another. There is good research on each side of the debate. So what we are planning to do is we're going to have Laura, who is our ELA curriculum leader, meet with our teachers. We're going to determine what's happening in our district, what teachers are doing and what, as far as penmanship and cursive, because penmanship is the precursor to cursive writing. And then leave it to the teachers to make a plan and make a decision on if we're going to integrate it into the curriculum, if so, and when, where will it fall, what grade levels, and then what program should we use? My experience, I've used Handwriting Without Tears, Xana Blaza, there's a million of them out there, but there's a cost, right? So they're going to do that work and research this year. And we're hoping to add it if that's what they recommend and the teachers feel that they want to integrate it into the curriculum, then we're going to formally have it in there and then purchase resources and materials for FY25 because it was not included in the budget that we just had. But I think the teachers are all interested in looking into the research, but what Laura dug up and what I've read, it depends on what side of the fence you're on in that argument. But we are looking at it and we want to know what we're doing in the district across the board and then find a place in the curriculum where it could be integrated if everyone believes that that is an important skill that our students should graduate with. So we're on it.
You're saying that Connecticut does not require.
Does not, here's the list.
One of the 29.
One of the
Okay.
29 that does not.
All right, Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Yes.
So a couple things. A, there is a cost to it, to adding something into a curriculum. B, it's also, adding things into a curriculum, obviously all the teachers are busy teaching what they need to teach. So you're adding something in, but it's something that possibly should have already been in there. But I also, in the 21st, we're the person coming on the second quarter of the 21st century. How important is needing to know how to write cursive? That's, you've done research. It's probably subject to debate, but needing to know how to read it. You've got historical documents, you've got all, if you're doing any kind of research, you're going to need to know how to read this stuff, whether or not you have an interest or desire to write it. So
That might be a college course. If you're in this.
By the time you get
By
to those,
the-
you need those basic understandings.
Kind of late, but.
Yeah.
because it's also, if you want to put it on
Or.
a level with learning a language,
I was gonna say, think of it like.
yeah,
a
because-
step.
and in the United States, we're already way behind in when we teach our children foreign languages. So if you want to put cursive on the level of a language, then it should be, I don't remember when I learned it, 3rd grade, 4th grade, whatever. It should be somewhere in there, because if you're teaching it in college or even late high school, you're adding a burden and learning almost another language.
Well, yeah, true. It may be an elective in high school, and then who knows, you at least need to know how to
Read it.
do your signature. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has to have a signature because that's all legal documents.
Yeah, so we all teach penmanship in kindergarten in grade 1, right? That's a big important skill. That we spend a lot of time on that. Usually you introduce cursive writing at the end of 2nd grade, usually the 2nd quarter. I mean, this is going back to when I was in school. So that's a long time ago. But yeah, it is kind of sporadic in our district. And so figuring out, where it's falling and then the time associated with teaching that. I know some teachers usually do it in the afternoon, I can remember, and then the next day giving it to students in their morning work as practice so that they could practice those letters. So we're going to bring it back to the teachers and then they're going to weave it into the curriculum where they think it should fall if they're all in consensus that this is work that we should be doing. But I think that doing a deep dive and doing some research on it, and Laura's already started that work, so she'll be meeting with the teachers. So I wanted to give you an update on that.
Thank you.
We didn't push it aside. We actually decided to really start to delve into it.
Belinda, can I also just jump back quick to that, the grading update? So seeing that we're an alliance district, right? And it's all about closing the gap of achievement. Like, how is the grading assessment, if we're not doing it the way we should be, going to affect that? Do they analyze that as part of their reassessment of us?
So they're starting to look at, do you have a viable curriculum? And so that's where all that curriculum revision work was important, Patty and Laura and Lucy. And so now we have curriculum documents. We're getting them almost K-12 now. And so once you have a curriculum, right, you now need to figure out how you're going to measure students against that curriculum. And that's where the assessment pieces come into play. And so it is the alignment and alignment and correlation between those assessments amongst departments to make sure that you're measuring what the curriculum is saying you're supposed to teach. And then how well did our students do against that curriculum? And I always used to take an assessment as an assessment on myself too. Maybe I didn't deliver that instruction well enough so that the students got it that way, or maybe I delivered it in a mode that maybe I'm a more auditory learner and I didn't provide any of that type of instruction. So it really does go back to always looking back on that curriculum and making sure these are the skills kids have to secure. And then how do you measure that? You don't always have to measure it in a test, but if you don't measure it in a test, then what's the criteria? And is everybody on the same page? So it takes a lot of research and a lot of collaborative time among the staff to come to that type of consensus. So Laura and Patty suggested, let's start with the 4 core departments and let's start working on those 4 core and see what we can do as far as doing better alignment of assessments and then the whole gradebook part of it, which is a technology issue too. And as we move over to Power School, we have some controls at the district level that we could set it a certain way. And then the teachers can't manipulate that, right? If we set it that way, but you certainly want their voice in how you set it. So we'll be doing that this summer. And hopefully we'll have a better aligned grading system at the high school for next year. It's a lot of work getting everybody on the same page, but I think we're well on our way.
Ready for administrative report? Let's see, Dr. Mayo, you're with us on Zoom? He is.
I am. I've enjoyed the conversation. So, well, first off, happy Board Appreciation Month. I'm sure Larry's there with our gift, correct, Larry? I'm hoping that like the show selfish. Just a reminder, Mary Poppins is this month. I know it was said, but Friday the 24th, Saturday the 25th, and Sunday the 26th. A lot of work by the kids, by Kate, the art department, Mike Joyce, everyone's been putting a lot of work into Mary Poppins. So I think that's gonna be a great event. Just to reiterate, the cereal challenge, over 1,600 boxes. I thought it was a great event for the whole community. I really appreciate JA and Trish Tupai for kind of overseeing that piece. Midnight Madness, as they said, made a return Friday. I thought it was really, really nice, a really wonderful event, and we are plugging along. Culinary is coming along, the kitchen's coming along, and we are in the process of finalizing an agreement with Dave Kimball to offer CNA. So a lot of things going on at the high school.
Thank you. Ms. Granado?
Hello, good evening, and thank you for all your support and for all that you do for the town of Thompson for our kids. So we thank everybody at the middle school for their participation in the cereal challenge. We had a lot of fun competing against one another. We were down to the last Monday where people were getting 200 points per box. So it was pretty competitive at the middle school. Also great job to Jordan and Ella, who presented a big portion of what ROAR does, and we're very thankful for that program. They did an outstanding job. The whole ROAR team, leadership team, did a great job of planning all the SEL videos for the morning, and the kids seem to be enjoying those. Also, we gave out a lot of Valentine cards to seniors, and as you can see from the packet, that was great to see. I think the seniors were extremely happy. Also, we had a great turnout for parent teacher conferences, so that was a great thing. And March is, we are having a lot of jackpot days for March for attendance and no write-ups, and so we have a lot of contests going on for March, so we'll keep you posted on that next month.
It's working because your attendance is looking good. Okay.
Will there be a video on the cereal challenge domino thing? I thought there was gonna be a video. Is there?
Jeff emailed it to Mr. O'Brien. Mr. O'Brien was editing it with other footage. It's out of Jeff's hands at this
I was away.
Because there was a death.
Okay, yeah.
Or near
It's
death.
coming.
Okay, Mr. Prentice.
Yeah, just the important points here. Kudos to the attendance team once again for we did attendance incentive to build a snowman. This is Susie's class won that attendance incentive challenge. Shout out to Ellen Pratt. She joined with some individuals at Staples and received a donation. So Ellen is always doing a great job with that. Thank you to Heather Burns, of course, for the Toronto Safety Act. She's done a lot of work with that. That worked well on our first go around with it. Thank you to Mrs. Hebert for showing up with the cereal challenge. Herbert had a great time. Valentine's Day bingo. We had a Valentine's Day bingo in the elementary school. As Dr. Mayo alluded to, I guess my presence in the Board of Ed for losing the attendance challenge is getting pie in the face in front of high school students. So I'm willing to do that. And grade 2 won the penny wars, and so I'm getting pied by 75 second grades. I thought it was only going to be 2 second grades.
No, I never said that. I said the entire second grade.
Well, so I have to wear a face shield.
Goggles, you're getting goggles and a poncho.
Your part. Yeah, that's what's happened in the elementary school.
We said the 24th for that, right?
24th, that's correct.
What time frame? So I know what time to bring the pies up.
Pre-made.
From all day from 10, I guess 11:15 for one pie, 2 hours. Fine. Stop on by if you want to see me get.
I'll be there.
Hey, those kids. They could have got their piggy banks for that fundraiser. That's great.
Mr. Stegler.
you know, all this talk about editing the video and everything, I think the real reason it's not ready is because Jeff is still catching his breath.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of
That's
that too. He hasn't run in a while.
It's a bit of a run. Our revised budget obviously stays unchanged at 19.8 billion. Year-to-date spendings at 12.1, 61% of the budget, which is slightly higher than where we were last year at this time, 59%. Year-to-date encumbrances at 7.5 million, 38% of the budget. Projected spending right now is 19.6 million, or 99% of the budget, which pulls even with where we were last year. A little bit of news, finally, from the special ed excess cost end. We finally did receive our first payment of $190,000. So all of the numbers that I just reported are actually after the first payment. There's been some talk about when the second payment is due in May. However, there's still some talk amongst different sides of the state as to exactly how much that will be. If you recall, we had some words from Senator Gordon. And he expressed that might be a little bit higher than we expected in the past, but when I talked to some of the folks who are on the front lines of the state, that maybe the message hasn't gotten to them yet, so I'm waiting to see how that sort of settles out. I've got some emails in to try and figure out exactly where it'll land. At this point, we have two departments currently in a deficit. Pupil services at 1.03 million, which is down because that 190,000 largely offsets the tuition line. So tuition is now projected to be 193,000 over budget. Contracted pupil services, 329,000, and transportation at 327,000. The ESY and summer department, and yes, it is actually its own department, is just under $14,000 in the red, and that's due to higher than expected transportation costs. That until this past cycle were actually included in the general education transportation line. So I had done some reclassing there. Still investigating that because it still looks a little higher than I expected, so that may come back down, but I just need to do a little bit more work there. The cafeteria report is attached in a nutshell. Lisa continues to do a nice job chasing the reimbursements, and are maybe just a little behind break even if you consider benefit costs.
So we're expecting to come in at break even.
Right around there now. Obviously, that'll probably tighten up as we get closer to the end of the year, but it was nice to see. It was nice to see the special ed excess cost money come in. And it's nice to see the discipline around spending. A lot of what we're seeing going out has been previously encumbered. Not a lot of new POs originating. In some instances, we don't have a choice. Things pop up in Mr. Birch's area all the time, and there's no way you can encumber for some of the unforeseen things that Bill deals with on a seemingly weekly basis. So.
Well, I see you haven't made the pension transfer yet, so that's the 125,000 that's going to hit the bottom line. You don't have numbers on each side. What is that? Because we talked about that the last meeting.
Yep, we actually did make that payment, so I'll look
It's not
at that.
reflected here. Not encumbered, non-certified, like 50230. It's still saying available budget.
I wonder if the payment may have happened right after I ran this.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I'm just saying that's gonna hit the bottom line.
Yeah, it will.
And I don't know, are we expecting any severances to be paid? I mean, we have people retiring or,
I believe there's one retirement being discussed.
okay. So I mean, those are all good. You're showing 186,000 to the good for now.
So it'll,
So right at this point, let's hope we break even. Okay. And if the cafeteria breaks even, because, you know, at some point we need to do a study to see if the cafeteria, and we've talked about this, the cafeteria can take some or all of their benefits.
right.
Because then, I mean, their inventory. You're offsetting their inventory with their, you know, you're doing a. if they're not on the cash, they're not on a cash basis, if you're recouping their inventory back into their products.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I know you've been real busy with budgets and everything, and you've done a great job. So the other bill, Mr. Birch. Bill Jr.
Oh, we're all glad the spring is upon us. We've had a pretty decent winter. The weather has been fairly mild. The snowstorms haven't piled up upon us, so everything has been going pretty good. As Dr. Mayo alluded to, we're moving along with the culinary arts program. We just put out the purchase order for the exhaust hood, which was the last big piece. So that's coming along. We've had the architects have been here 2 weeks in a row doing the assessment on the security work.
Okay.
So that's going forward. We'll be ready to submit that grant application on time, which is April 28th. And other than that, I don't have much news for you.
Well, very good.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know for the HVAC grant, possibility, when were we hoping we would hear back about whether we would get that or not? I thought it was March, that's why I'm asking.
Initially it was January, then it was March, and so we don't know yet.
Okay.
But we've had a little bit of communication with the state. Actually just today, so we know that our application hasn't been thrown to the side yet. And that's about all I've got.
Yeah, they asked for the referendum results certified, so.
Yep, Heather. Hey, Heather.
Hi, good evening. A few things coming out of the tech department. Obviously, we spoke a little bit earlier about Power School. And you can see there are a lot of moving pieces, grading. It's not just uploading student files. There's a lot that goes into that. So Danette and I are continuing along with our weekly meetings. We had one this morning. We have hopefully one tomorrow. Also, for state reporting, we completed the monthly attendance report. We did roll out, as Larry said, thank you, the Safety Shield app. We're still working out a few kinks, but that's to be expected with anything new. Next month, I'll be working on uploading the rosters for SBAC testing, which is happening in May. I submitted the Pegpedia grant, which is for 25 flat panel screens for the middle school. And we're still working in the E-rate grant for last year to improve the Wi-Fi in the middle school, just because a lot of those parts are still on back order. And I did submit the same grant again for next school year, also to improve Wi-Fi and infrastructure.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hey, Michelle.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm going to update open positions tonight. We currently have 4 open paraprofessional positions. We're currently interviewing today for our secretary position in Mary R. Fisher. We will be offering that candidate tomorrow. I posted the new culinary arts instructor position throughout various hiring boards, including School Spring, CT Reap, Handshake, Johnson & Wales University, as well as their alumni platform, and the Culinary Institute of America in New York. So we're sourcing candidates for that position right now. And we have an interview scheduled for Wednesday for a new speech and language pathologist. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Ms. Brower, any updates on health? No issues? No. Oh, we're kind of just gliding right now. Okay. That's good to hear. You know? Hey, Deb? Snarly?
Spring sport open is registered, high school softball pitchers and catchers. The softball started on Saturday. Everybody else The high school opens next week on the 20th. Middle school. Softball and baseball will start next week. Track will be delayed until April 2nd because they only have 3 meets this year. Actually 4 due to the number of tracks that are not available. So they're having a minimal schedule this year, so we're delaying when we're actually starting the practices. Also, our bowling team that had their one tournament did not come in last, but they didn't last. Well, and they scored over 1,000 points because it's a pin total, so they're like 1,100. And then our unified team had their culminating activity at NFA, they did the CIAC tournament, and they had a great time down there.
Turtle Rock used to have a bowling team, they, many years ago. Cause I found when we did some, well, after wear and tear, where I parked my car on the side of the driveway, I found a high school ring from when my kids were in high school. It was Turtle, and it had a bowling ball insignia on the side of it. So I went down to the library and looked at, looked up that year, whatever year it was, it would have been in the 80s, 87, something like that. Looked up the yearbook to find the initials on the inside of the ring. It was a boy's ring. And try to find out who it belonged to. So, because I had to ask my daughter or my son, who is this kid? I wanted to give him the ring back. Yeah.
So I have a question, Deb, about the track and why are I know why our track's unavailable. Why are other tracks unavailable?
This track has 2, both of them are in disrepair, they have to redo them. Ellis Tech has a hole in lane 3 on the far side. Griswold redoing their hole, ripping it out, and redoing the whole thing. Plainfield going to the pack right now, Schillingly and Button.
Wow,
Those are the 3 out of the areas that we suspected.
thank you.
That's why we can't get anybody to do our track.
So when we get our track done, is there opportunities to rent it to these other towns to do this?
Any opportunity to rent it because we'll be hosting everything.
Right,
Yeah.
as opposed to being away all the time.
Is all those other schools that have had tracks have been hosting these events. They never go away. They have home meets all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a cycle. We'll end up being the ones that are hosting.
That's our opportunity for concessions for the repair. If it needs them.
Yeah.
We have the stand, we just need the people to buy this stuff. I think
A
we
Spinelli deli.
I wasn't gonna say it.
I think we paid $1 or something. Bill, do you remember how much the deli made that?
$1.60.
Yeah, there you go.
The chairman and chief financial officer knows.
It wasn't a lot.
Okay, is there any old business? I don't think we had any. We've addressed all of the old business. I think the major thing was the calendars and the bullying report, and we've addressed that. Any new business board wants to put forward?
But I would like to offer up a few words of gratitude for Melinda, Danielle, Bill, and the security people that allowed the quarterly meeting for our women's board and lunch, dinner rather, up at the auditorium, and then of course the viewing of the Turtle Memorial. There was about 65 women that were extremely impressed with the whole property and what it had to offer in that building. So I wanted to thank everyone. That was kind of a coordinated effort. And Melinda, I want to thank you for helping with that with Danielle and Bill. Your team was fantastic with helping escort some older women in and out of the building. So I want to thank you guys because everyone was raving about it. They absolutely really enjoyed it. So thank you guys.
Yeah, Bill's custodial team did a great job, and kudos to Bill who got in the bucket and straightened out all those pictures.
I didn't see that.
He did do that.
Just for you.
Hey, anyone received any correspondence? I have not this month. No,
Kathleen, can I just say one thing?
certainly.
This is my comment, not one of the board, but I'm sure the board will agree that,
Gotten to citizens' comments yet.
oh, I'm sorry.
We're at correspondence. Did you get any correspondence?
No,
Okay, now we can go to citizens' comments and you are on.
thank you. So again, these are my comments, not anything from the board, but I'm sure you will all agree that the budget that we put forth as a Board of Education was a sound budget. And it's a shame that the Board of Finance members, except for one, attend all of our meetings.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah,
I
and
thought you wanted to-
understood where and how the budget was created.
Mhm.
And the second thing is, I think it's very premature that the Board of Finance, a number of their members have a preset number in mind for a mill rate before the mill rate has even been established in the town. I think that is a travesty to this town. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. That is why I urge all of you. I know the Board of Finance has received several, more than several, letters from concerned citizens. I have an inside. And, they need to be inundated with those letters. And I know one of the Board of Finance members answers every single one of those emails. And I don't know about the other members, but at least one of the members answers every single.
The other ones do not. I
No, they
attest to
do
that.
not.
Huh?
The other ones do not, no,
Okay, well, at least one does.
nor do the chair read them in their Board of Finance meetings. I understand they don't have to,
No,
but he
do
does
not
not.
read them.
he does
So
not
if
address
you
them.
want your letter to be read, you need to read it to them.
Right.
And one quick thing, Kathleen, is I think it's also a shame that they just start getting on a roll in their meetings and it comes to 9 o'clock and it's like Whoville and it's time to go home to go to bed. I think that's ridiculous.
Well, we can't do anything about that. The
I
other,
understand.
the other thing that
But-
bugs me is they don't have a citizen's comments at the end so that we can respond to some of the comments that were made during the meeting. But
I'll add that
we're
to
not gonna
mine.
change that either with the current chair, but. Anyway, so we need to get people out in force, either to write to them. Come to the meeting via Zoom. I mean, how much easier can it get? Have our voices heard from both the town and the school. And. It just, that, you know. It's just that we cannot have a mill rate increase preconceived until they listen to what we need.
Regarding the survey, will we be able to get like a number, like how many people said that they want to see the education budget increased?
Yes, it closes next week.
Yeah, next.
And Danielle will probably download, or look at the results. We'll look at the results tomorrow. We showed Amy last week. At that time, I think we're up to 370, which exceeds what we usually gather. So obviously some community people are weighing in on it. We hope that there's a good turnout, but yes, there's a report that comes out with graphics, so.
And is there a plan for either Amy or you guys or both to present that to the Board of Finance, or is that just more gonna be a citizens' comments kind of thing?
I haven't talked to Amy about, I would imagine Amy and Kathleen are going to
Yeah.
take that data
Right.
and present it.
Yeah.
We should.
I just wonder if she get it on their agenda for when we know, versus, I mean, it could be a citizens comment thing, but I just feel like It's more impactful as an agenda item, you
I
know?
can email Dottie and ask her to put it on the following Thursday after it closes.
Yep. I think that would be a good idea.
Are you doing reminders out like every week or so that?
I
to
put
take-
one out last week.
Yeah, one call went out and I know it's on the Thompson.
I keep
Facebook
sharing it,
page
that's why I
and
was out, and I know
webpage.
the town, I've seen the towns, I'm just
Yep.
was curious.
And I think their online, like their email blast for anyone who subscribed to their thing, got an email about it, so.
That we're trying to use social media as best as we can
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really, really important. PTO.
We actually have a PTO meeting that Thursday. And my goal is to make sure we are out of there with 10 minutes to spare to get down the hill on time. Yes,
Oh, for the beginning of the meeting.
to make sure that they're all down there, because we usually lately, because of the playground conversation, we are generally have.
So that's the only time you'll have to speak is during that. first
Exactly,
meeting.
so we've streamlined our agenda to make sure that we're out of there on time.
Yeah,
I will tell you as superintendent, I was just shocked that after the presentation that the Board of Ed gave and that the town gave on the budget, that the first comment made was, let's set the mill rate, and back up the budget from there. It was just sad to understand all the hard work you people put into our budget and then what the selectmen went through to develop the town budget. So
It's irresponsible and it's a slap in the face to both boards when they don't attend. And they presume to know what we need and what we don't need. And then when they make cuts, they don't give a reason why they're making cuts. It's wrong. And I'm not gonna be there because I know I'm gonna say something I shouldn't, but somebody should film them. Because I have film from 2 years ago when the children were going up and saying what they needed for the school. And I have two of the board members rolling their eyes and they can't believe they have to listen to more. That kind of stuff really needs to be.
That
Sure.
also occurred, and in fact, one of the particular people never pays attention when people are speaking. And
Oh,
he claimed that he hasn't heard anybody
Right.
say that they want an increase in, supporting the budget. Everybody he hears wants a small mill rate. And I'm thinking to myself, I look back, the last 2 meetings that I've attended in person, overwhelmingly, people are vocal at citizens' comments, and almost all the correspondence is for the school budget. Yet he has no recollection of any of that.
Yeah.
And it's that just floors me.
yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I plan on
Well-
giving that said gentleman a copy of my calendar so he can find me to come have
If
a
you go out
conversation.
online, which I intend to read to them this coming Thursday, the handbook issued by the state of Connecticut that for guidelines for boards of finance does not specifically states that they are not to do that.
Set a mill rate before.
Right.
Yeah,
They are supposed to prepare a budget. They are supposed to prepare a budget for the town that meets the needs and, yes.
Adequately meets the needs.
make sure you print at least 6 copies
Yes, I will.
and use big print, lots of colors,
Not cursive.
not cursive.
Well, apparently they've learned cursive. Oh, okay. They're of an age. Except for maybe one.
You don't want any ambiguity. It's-
So, and my allotted 3 minutes, which I understand.
You can say a lot in 3 minutes.
Oh, I can say a lot.
I've already got mine ready.
I already started writing. 'Cause,
Anyway,
it's gotta be
all right,
clear.
so that was my citizens' comment as a citizen. Any other citizens' comments? Board comments? Oh, yes, Deb.
I don't know if they have any input with Amy to change the order, how they present, because usually they do the town part. Wait for the school part, the parents that are there have their kids, and they never get to really hear what's gonna be cut or anything, because it's always 9:30, 10 o'clock or whatever to get to it. And those parents are going, well, I gotta go, my kids are gonna go to bed. They do it every single year. And it's, you can't tell me that that's not playing.
No, it isn't fair, and, they kind of work in order, and we've asked them. Well, the chair really tries to stop at 9 o'clock. I mean, that's his thing. The meeting is over. He's even said this year, though, they may actually meet on Tuesdays if they have to. Because he has to leave at 9 o'clock.
Kathleen, but to Deb's point,
Yeah.
you could have everyone there for the school, and then when they all get up to leave, then they'll make a decision afterwards.
Yeah.
So if they could do some of that discussion beforehand,
Yes.
and I know well, that's with the budget presentations, they swap back and forth, but
Yeah.
they always leave the school for last, and there's very little discussion.
They know what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose.
Oh, I know.
Should be ashamed of themselves.
They cut whatever they can out of the town budget, and then to get to whatever mill rate they want, that's how much they cut from us. That's
Yeah,
how they
but they're
do it.
not supposed to do that.
No, I know they're not, but.
Are there ways around it?
I mean,
Legally, I think there are some ways.
We're to the point where we might need to use some of those extraneous methods.
So, Steve Sador is willing to chat with the board on that if you so choose. There's a case that I can send you that he sent me that you can take a review of.
Brian also has like a whole bunch of things as well from the state of Connecticut, with a couple of cases that have had similar issues with the Board of Finance, you know?
Ellington being the classic case.
Yeah, I think he had a different one even, Mouse and stuff.
That's. Yeah, I would like to be prepared for needing to do something.
yes,
If we need to do it.
and that's why Melinda has. Yes, Jess.
All right, so I'm just gonna say, if you, as anybody in the virtual audience, those that are here now, you have any care towards your, whether it's athletics, any extracurricular clubs or activities, not that we have that many of those anymore. You want a more robust security program here, you want your buildings updated, you want to keep whatever it is time to tell the other students, it is time to tell parents to show up and speak out. We cannot afford to be silent anymore. And it can't be the same 5 or 6 making the same comments. We need to show strength in numbers. So it's gotta come from you guys. It has to come from us. It's gotta come from, whether it's Elizabeth Dutton Goldsmith, whoever, it has to come from everybody. So really start to rally those people, because we're gonna need it. I know this budget is meaty. I know it's gonna hurt a lot of people. It's gonna suck for everybody. But at this point, we have spent years doing this, and look where we've got it. What has it gotten us? Absolutely nothing.
And perhaps and I know we can't directly ask the staff that live in town, but if there was a way to encourage the staff that live in town with 32%.
72 of them.
They live here. They vote, they should be voting. If they don't vote, then that's a huge disappointment. But everybody just needs to pull together.
It's their school, it's their community, it's our school, it's our community. And we need to support it. We need to support our town. And we need to all group together to get this budget passed.
I agree what Jess says.
Mhm.
But I disagree with the part that we can't remain silent anymore. We haven't been silent for many years. We've had a
Right.
lot of people talking. Until that Board of Finance changes their mindset, or we show them or embarrass them or do something. We'll But
Okay.
that's what we just have to keep doing, just keep hammering on it.
Start with letters to the editor. You can get some people like they did with Prop 46. I mean, the last couple of weeks that paper
There's
was
a
filled.
tide changing and people are tired of the way things have always been done.
And that was the
It's
first
happening
words
in
out of his
Woodstock.
mouth. Don't we typically start with what we think the mill rate should increase by? First words out of his mouth. And I think it should be, I've been talking to some people. Who?
No, all
The
the
crazy
people,
old man
all the
club.
people I've heard from, he said.
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like
like
that.
all 3, 4.
It's the same people he talks.
Yeah.
simply.
Yeah.
But that 1% won't cover our deficit in special ed.
Right.
Good God, 1%, that's split between the town and won't cover anything.
Well, you know what? They're responsible for paying the special ed regardless. So I say, you know what, we'll spend on our general ed and at the end of the year, we'll go back and tell them we need another $2 million.
Mhm.
Can I
I have
ask-
no problem doing that.
Why we haven't done that in the past.
We have one.
We have.
Once,
Nah, yeah, we did, but
but we,
we didn't go to
skimmed.
the full extent that we could have.
yeah,
We
right.
try to be good citizens and we
Right.
try to freeze the budget. But the general ed kids always get the shout.
Mhm.
And if they're not gonna fund us correctly, I say, let them pay at the end. Just let them pay.
So anyway. You know, we just have to take action this year. Everybody in the town that's for supporting the schools and the town, both sides, that's got to take action. Hey, you want a motion to adjourn?